Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Season 2 of TerraFormars. TerraFormars.
Terra for Mars?
Question mark? Possibly? Kind of, sort of, hopefully? I mean...
We should stop in the middle because this isn't a full season. I mean, it is a full season, but it's like it should terraform and then just leave it off like they did with the anime, where you're just like, well, there's going to be another season, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, like we could do it how the title's written or at least displayed. Terra. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, dear me.
All right. So this gem of a show came out in April 2016, ran all the way through June 2016. The producers for it, just to name a couple, Warner Brothers Japan. I love this one. I'm going to save it for the right after Good Smile Company, Mages. But
sorry,
the better one, Ultra Super Pictures.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why does it sound like a bad translation?
Because it probably was, but I don't know. Maybe. I mean, like given the name, all the names of everything else that are out there, I honestly wouldn't put it past it being that. So I mean,
we should start our own Super Omega Best company.
How do you know I don't already have that?
Do you?
No,
because that'd be awesome. I was going to say because that'd be an awesome thing to change it to.
Studios for our TYO Animations and LIDENFILMS. So it had a couple studios working on this. LIDENFILMS was the same studio that worked on season 1, and they also helped out with this one. Sources of manga. Genres are action, sci-fi, space, horror, drama, and Seinen.
Okay.
Yep. So 13 episodes of pure horror.
Pure unbridled.
Not horror as in, oh my gosh, this is so scary. Oh, no. Horror is like, why did I watch this? Why did I spend hours of my life watching this? And more specifically for me, why do I have to watch this and then listen to us talk about this and edit it again?
Well, okay. So last week, no, not last week, 2 weeks ago, we covered the first season.
Yes.
Was kind of a short show, I would say, short episode, if you will, because we didn't have too many positive things to say. And to the point of, I almost did not recommend this to be our next show because while time-wise, it benefits both of us because it's easier for you to cut everything out and it's less time-consuming to produce. But I just didn't want to put myself or you through that because we both really, I thought it was going to be great because I remember watching it, the first go around, and I'm like, that's not so bad. And it wasn't so bad because my sample size wasn't that large. It would be like if you go to a store and you buy store-bought apple pie, and you're like, oh, it's not bad. Then you go to another store and it's more store-bought apple pie. You're like, okay, it's not that bad. It's good. It's good for what I know. And then you go home and dear old grandma makes you apple pie from scratch. And I'm talking sprinkled some crack in there, probably. I don't know how they always make it better than store-bought. And then that first bite, you're like, this is what apple pie is supposed to be. And then you look at the store-bought stuff and go, oh, I liked that? I was so wrong. I was so ignorant.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's how I felt with TerraFormars, the first season. So... You
see, and then you have someone that's like, oh, I have wonderful, delicious food all the time. And then you, Rick, decide to go, here's a turd pie. Enjoy. No. This is so...
I got a better one. So you remember, so you grew up with empanadas, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So you grew up with the deliciousness of homemade empanadas. And I came by with my delicious Taco Bell empanada. And I give you mine. I'm like, this is great. And you humor me by going, yeah, it's fine, I guess. You like it. I hope you're happy. And then you come to school the next day with homemade empanadas and go, you should try this. And it's really bad. It's really, really bad. And I'm like, now all I can do is just hope. All I can do is hope just to have one more homemade empanada again.
So anyways, empanadas are delicious. I love empanadas.
They are. I can't help it. Can't help it. Anyway, that's what TerraFormars was for me. And it just did not age well.
No, it never does.
So how is, I guess this would be better.
I don't know how we got on the topic of food.
Because I'm hungry. Because I'm hungry. But it's a good rendition for me. I appreciate that. That's, as far as food goes, that's a good version for me because I had good food and I had bad food. I've had good anime, I've had bad anime. I've had bad anime before I had good anime. You know what I mean?
I do know exactly what you mean, but that's okay because you
So,
know what
and
this is? This is just a turd sandwich all around. I mean, like no matter what.
Well, it gets better. It gets better. So,
I mean, if anything, it definitely leaves it open for the more so third season that'll eventually come.
I'm not sure we're going to watch the third season, to be perfectly honest.
Well, you know me, man. I can't get enough of that third season deliciousness.
They can't all be Log Horizon. I'm sorry. They can't all be Log Horizon. They're not.
Could you hear and tell the enthusiasm in my voice for it? Third season deliciousness. Truly wonderful greatness.
The way you're saying it, all I can think of is just you're looking forward to it.
So much.
So much.
So much.
Oh, goodness. So, what, in your opinion, was different between season 1 and season 2?
Well, besides the animation, the colors,
besides everything.
Everything. They also decided to change race for a lot of people in that one. Change skin tones, color, race in general, just changed a lot. They changed it so that way they tried making it a little bit more comedic too.
I felt they tried to make it a little bit more lighthearted because in season 1, you just had grim. Okay, so fair example in my opinion. Katz has been watching of our favorite Star Wars, episode 1, typically lighthearted. Episode 2, the drama and the just pain to lead on to the third act where it resolves itself typically. In Star Wars, it didn't, obviously. It resolved itself on episode 6 and 9, I believe. But here, there is no good base to go on. Season 1 is just sad backstory after just tragic backstory after just abysmal reasoning for even doing any of this. Season 2 looks more lighthearted. The colors are brighter. It looks more Dragon Ball Z-ish, if I can even say that. There's more sword play. There's more just weird fighting. And the enemy evolves.
Yeah. But for this, what really just threw me off, what really kind of ruined it for me, was the fact that they had changed it so much.
The consistency wasn't there. Now, do you happen to know how much time was spent between, I would say, season 1 and season 2 being released? Because I know that when season 1, they did like a season 1 unrated, and then season 2 came out. But you told me that. Good.
Yeah, season 1 came out in 2014, season 2 came out in 2016.
Okay, so it was a 2-year difference. For some reason, I thought it was much greater. I thought that season 2 came out a year ago, mainly because I haven't watched it.
No, but in 2018, they had a couple of OVAs come out, which is a sequel.
Please don't tell me season 3 is going to be an OVA thing and they're going to just call it done there. Actually, no, bet it. I hope they did do that. I hope you're going to tell me that that's exactly what happened.
I
do not want to suffer through a full third season of slightly better anime, but I don't know. Like they tried to take themselves way too seriously, in my opinion.
No, from how it looks, it's just a small little snippet of what's happening on Earth, and that's basically it. I mean, like it's called Earthen, TerraFormars Earthen.
Okay, TerraFormars Earthen, like Earth HEN, like a
Earth-HEN.
That's odd. Okay.
To say the least, yeah. Whatever.
I was trying to think. I'm trying to think of what suffixes might. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what suffix might hen be. Because I know san, I know tan, son, ton, whatever. Chan as a suffix, or suffix, not prefix. So, but I'm not quite sure what hen is. I don't know. I mean, I don't get. I want to say, don't get me wrong. I'd give it however many attempts or however many saves. That said, I don't know if I want to, because I usually give anime 3 episodes typically. Heck, I even tried the redo of Healer. I gave that 3 episodes, and the writing on there was atrocious. The premise fantastic, but it was just too graphic for me. Was not in my wheelhouse of stuff I wanted, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I pulled up what hen is, and it is strange, but peculiar, curious, eccentric, suspicious, odd, weird, funny,
Oh, okay. So basically what they're saying in the very last episode, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm trying to make sense of Earth Pan. At the very end, the cockroaches from Mars made it back to Earth, and somehow they were like doing stuff on Earth. So maybe that's insinuating strange Earth, strange world,
probably. But I would honestly say that that's not that surprising that happened, that they were there.
I mean, I do understand where you're coming from because they were on the spaceship. And how are they going to get to the spaceship if they haven't made it to the destination yet? It's not like they were floating in space waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's sad.
And it's not like they're dumb, because they're pretty savvy and able to catch on to things pretty quick. They're using cell phones. They're able to use computers and everything like that. And on Mars, they're able to use technology and catch up to it and learn from it. And at least in the second season, you kind of learn that where their priorities are in terms of who they go after, more so than anything else. And you also learn that they take whoever they kill, they take them and use the parts, or use parts of them to enhance themselves.
Yeah, I was going to say augment, but yeah, they enhance themselves. And it is, the implications are just scary. Mm-hmm. Because not only are they taking bits and pieces, or the mosaic organ, if you will, from these things, they're able to, within 1 week, implant them into other beings. They're their own subspecies. They're their own people, and have whatever ability was there stronger, better. It's worrisome. I have no idea how they're going to try to fall into a solution, because they're not going to looking for one's not going to help them here. Searching for one, triumphing, being triumphant over these things is not going to be it's not going to help at all, because they're going to stumble upon a solution, and it's going to be dumb. It's going to be stupid, I'm sure. The bacteria chick, that she was pivotal for 3 episodes, and she was more harmful to herself than anybody else. And the thing that I do not understand, I don't think I will understand it. Supposedly, they had these amazing insects, creatures, terrestrial animals that they were able to incorporate into the human body, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
they did ants. They did
everything they possibly could.
Yeah.
I mean,
except cockroaches.
True. Not everything. They didn't do everything.
You know what I mean? Like they didn't seem to have a limit. The only limit they had seemed to have was placed upon the usefulness of the creature.
Which even then, I would argue that at that point, it was the same thing. It was like, I mean, like they had a house cat, and that one was pretty. I mean, like, I'm not saying house cats are useless, but I'm saying like the person, how they chose to utilize their abilities made them kind of useless, because they died in the first 30 seconds of being introduced in season 1.
You're not wrong. And there's definitely a hierarchy of abilities. And why didn't they, instead of having a diverse range, instead of having an amazing range of people, what they had, why didn't they do more like the honey badger, like you saw?
That's a great question. But you know, they also had like the urchin or whatever it was, that boa, that one boa character, basically could replicate himself infinitely, and it would be an entire planet of him versus the roaches.
They should have done that. They should have incorporated Mr. Perfect, Mr. Number 1, with that ability, and had like 19 of him,
or 100 or 1,000.
No, they'd only need 19.
Yeah, but why stop at just 19 for perfection?
Because he wouldn't want to have sex with himself. I mean, he might. Who knows?
Because every single one of them have their own personality, their own likes, dislikes, their own goals, and everything like that. And that was something that was specifically stated too.
Yeah, no, it was actually like interesting, because it basically said, if you have an infinite, it took the multiverse theory and made it an actual story plot line. For instance, right now, let's say I'm standing in my house, right? What am I doing right now? I'm talking to you. I'm helping, in my opinion, us become better friends, because I'm spending quality time with you. I'm hopefully enriching our listeners' lives. Debatable. But if I was to stop what I'm doing right now, walk outside and take a left, I could get hit by a car. My story ends. I could go out, hook a right, find a lottery ticket on the ground worth millions of dollars. Or if I went outside and took a right, there's so many different options to me. I can go and be a mass murderer. I can go and find the cure to cancer. I doubt it highly with my capabilities, but
well, with your specific capabilities, but like with Boa, the capabilities of the other you.
Well, he was completely. Well, that's true. You actually have a point there. Instead of going right or left or out, I could just get in my car and start driving. And you're right. Like my personal mental capacity where I'm at right now is only limited to me and the story I'm on. With Boa, his story started new every single time.
Yep.
I mean, it started the same. Like, oh, could you imagine this? If he's like, I wanted to be an author, because that's what one of them did. And he just focused on that as the other person was growing. And now that became their focus. And then once that's done, he's like, I want to have the best martial arts available. And I want to be a model. And I want to do this. And all of his dreams and aspirations, one person took that and ran with it.
Yeah.
Think about that. That would be interesting. Your thought becomes this new being's obsession. That's kind of cool.
That is pretty awesome.
But wouldn't one of your guys also want to work against you?
That is a possibility.
That is a
very good possibility, man. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I really wouldn't.
I mean, he's dead now. So actually, I got a question. You notice how they killed the original person doing all the replicating and whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
If he split himself, doesn't that mean any of those other selves has the ability to replicate as well?
Mm-hmm. I would assume so.
Now who's the cockroach?
Boa.
Exactly, yeah.
Boa. I feel like I'm saying his name wrong. I feel like it's not Boa.
Fist in the air, more power to you, because I can't remember half the names other than Michelle.
Belle.
And the only reason I remember her name is because of how many times she denied dinner.
Fair enough.
Michelle Davis, yeah.
One of the things that really sets apart season 1 and season 2, and I thought was a nice change. In season 1, they didn't focus really on any story.
It was a mishmash, yeah.
Yeah, and season 2, they kind of focused on a story. They gave you something kind of linear that you could follow while sprinkling in some combat throughout it. But they really kind of focused in on an actual story.
I can see that. I understand what you're talking about. In season 1, they laid a very broad foundation to build upon. And instead of building a pyramid where they all the bases flowed to one point, I feel like they built a baseline city where certain stories went to a certain area that were completely independent of one another. They weren't connected in a way that I was expecting them to be. That makes sense?
Yeah. But also at the same time, it felt like they were kind of contradicting their own story a little bit too. Like
more than a little bit.
I was trying to be generous. I was trying to be kind.
All right.
I mean, it was what it was. I mean, at least it had a story at the very least. It had a little bit less meaningless combat with random spritz of story. It was more story focused with combat sewn throughout it. And when the combat actually did happen, you had more of a focused, I want to say, approach to it. So the fights showed a meaning. It had a meaning behind it. They tried to convey a particular story or tried to convey some kind of information, whether it be about the characters who are on the moon or not moon, on Mars, or about the cockroaches that were there, so that you can better understand how they further developed.
That makes perfect sense. Like I know what you mean. And I felt like season 2 sacrifices meant more. Now, what I did not like about season 2 in that regard was death didn't seem permanent. And it was very Deus Ex Machina, or just plot armor through the tuchus by, oh, you lost a leg, let's just shoot another one out when your animal shouldn't have the ability for that. But if you have a certain medicine, you'll regenerate at a much higher rate and your wounds will close up. What?
We call that plot drugs.
Plot drugs.
I mean, like at the very least, for when sea urchin when he loses a leg, he goes, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I can't regenerate a limb, so I can't heal myself like that." So he does specifically cite that. And the only one that did regenerate a limb at all was, or well, two of them anyways.
I was going to say there was the crab and the mantis.
The peacock shrimp, mantis shrimp.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, for what it's worth. I mean, like, even in this one, I feel like they underplayed how powerful the punch is for the peacock mantis shrimp and how it would be based on the size that he is.
Yeah, it would burst eardrums just throwing a regular punch, let alone one that had power behind it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like in general, when it came to a lot of the animals, a lot of the creatures that they had going on there, they either A, overplayed it, or B, underplayed it. I do like, though, that unlike in the first one, this and second season for the peacock mantis shrimp, they did kind of touch on his ability to see what's her face, Invisible Girl.
Yeah. He was like, she's like, "You can see me?" He's like, "Yeah, I have the I have no idea what."
He's like, I'm Peacock Mantis. I can see you, because they have 12 color cones and they can see actual spectrums as well beyond that, which they're amazing. They're amazing creatures. I mean, like when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, we were talking about, it's like when they punch, it's like with insane force, and just in a small little vacuum, it heats up from the pressure in a little tiny bubble. It's like fraction of the sun. Like,
so what I would think about this, when he's punching, he's compressing the air against his fist. Now, granted, he's not in a cylinder and he's not in a viscous material such as seawater, but by punching he should have been able to, like, think about it. They gave up the opportunity for a falcon punch with fire.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That would have just...
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, what's interesting is there were so many aggravating points in this show, too. I mean, Grant, I'm going to rate this a little bit higher, if I remember correctly, for the one we saw a couple weeks ago. I'm going to rate it a little bit higher than that one, simply because it had an actual story that it could follow. But it felt like they were trying to introduce comedy throughout it, just a little smidge of it, have like little random bubbles pop up and everything like that, where it's like tried to do a little comedy haha type thing. The animation wasn't as dark. It was very, very much more bright, vibrant, very, very more lively, if anything else. The interactions between some of the characters was definitely a little bit more lighthearted than anything else. But one of the episodes where it just like was come on was when Michelle and Moth Dude, even though he's a pro tag, he's the main one. What's his name? Akira, something like that, right?
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, probably.
The one with the Hattori Hanzo blade.
Yes.
Okay. When they're down and out for the count, right, and Boa's like driving away, he kicks one of the girl passengers out, so that way all the cockroaches go towards her. And then you have Eagle Dude go with her, basically. They sit there for a good couple of minutes, good several minutes, sitting there just talking, reminiscing, and everything like that. And then when they're like right on top of them, oh, you know what we should do? What? We should make our way to the motorcycle that's over there so we can get away. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, that would have been like my number one thing. Oh, we're on the ground now. There's a motorcycle over there. Let's run to it.
It irked me so bad. How did Dude, how did our immortal forever multiplying guy make it to them?
On that motorcycle. Because it flew.
It flew. Thank you. Okay. On to my next quandary, let's call it. What did they do to catch up to said motorbike? Like, once they were on the motorbike with Mr. Perfect, what did they do to get back to the thing that was much slower than them?
No.
They didn't fly.
I know what you're going to say. And they did not fly, but they fell with style.
No, not even that.
They did, because they got shot up in the air after they popped a wheelie, got carried up by the tire, shot up in the air, and then they fell down into the actual body, or in the cockpit where Dude was, all right? Where he was. Okay, so
all I know is instead of popping a wheelie and going through the thousands of literal cockroaches, they could have just jumped up and over them. No fighting necessary. No epic, I'm almost going to die every 10 milliseconds of driving through these people. Dude, nothing was needed. You could have just boop, boop. Hey, okay, we're here again. It was frustrating. So frustrating. I'm like, you can fly. You can literally fly up and over these land-bound creatures.
No, sir. Look, you're forgetting one very important thing. Plot drugs.
Plot drugs. Yeah, okay. Plot drugs for some reason make, the automaton no longer transform.
Exactly. I will say this. One of the other things that I actually really enjoyed is they actually discussed the negative side effect, the negative effect of them actually using the drugs to transform.
Yes, they made that more real to me because having that ability seems a little broken and they made it less broken.
Yeah.
I feel like they retconned a few things, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Yeah. And by that, we mean it shortens your lifespan every time you do use it.
From what they don't say it, but I think it's implied. The feeling you get is it's not a little bit of life that's being taken away. It's a lot of life. Like if you're 30 and let's say you plan, you don't even plan, you're expected to live till 80, right? You get another 50 years. You pop that bad boy once, you lose 6 months. You double up on that, you just lost 2 years. You triple up on that in an emergency, you just lost a decade.
Yeah, and
that's the feeling I got from that. Because for instance, dude, when he was about to kill Bacteria Chick, right?
Yeah.
He popped 4 things immediately. He grew his arm back, but he died almost instantly. So he used up his remaining life.
Well, to be fair, he was also dying from the bacteria as well. Like he was already supposed to have died anyways. So there's no way to know how far along. But him injecting 4 at the same time basically almost transformed him completely into a centipede or whatever it was, or beetle or whatever he was supposed to.
Yeah, so it definitely didn't help his situation. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
But he was going to die. He was expecting to die anyway. And his sacrifice, I found, was very satisfying. I'm sad that he did die because he was one of my more likable characters. He had substance. He had purpose. He had a decent backstory. And I really liked the fact that he had the opinion of, I know what I want. I'm going to go get what I want. He saw this woman. It showed him as his world is gray and no flavor, no color. And this woman passes in front of him and he goes, my DNA has spoken to me about you. I want to marry you. And she's like, not only do you even know my name, no. 5,000% no. And so he finds out her name's Gina because her friend was
Said her name.
Yeah. Hey, you need to be careful with that dude, Gina. And he's like, I know her name. Not stalkerish at all. I want to throw out. No. That's perfectly normal. That is 100% acceptable in normal society. And then he follows her to her dorm, I guess, or her class or her school.
Something like that.
And on the way home, her friend abandons her straight. Hey, looks like you two want to be alone. You mean with the stalker dude who had to basically steal my name?
Hey, well, to be fair, you don't know how much time has passed, and you know that they've actually had discussions because she said, "Oh, you're already back from your tour."
Gotcha. Yes, that makes sense. For some reason, I missed that part, and I picked up on the shouldn't you be back on the base? And he replied something to the effect of he's got leave before his next trip. So I thought that he hadn't left yet, that he was around for his vacation essentially.
Yeah.
And he was waiting on his next deployment.
Yeah. So, but again, it helps again reiterate that they have had discussions and everything like that before.
That makes sense.
Beforehand. So time has passed, and if I want to say this real quick, and then we'll just go ahead and wrap up. And let me know if you agree. Anytime they give any real, true, meaningful background, that person's gonna die.
I would say no, because they gave Michelle Davis a meaningful background.
I'll let you have that one. I don't think it was truly that meaningful, but
what about the mealworm dude?
Hang on. Mm-hmm. And I will say the only exceptions are when it ties into other characters that are still alive.
Okay. That is an acceptable amendment, if you will.
Thank you. And the reason why I say that is because Beetlejuice died, and you got a little bit of a background for Sylvester, the crab dude.
True.
You got girl in season 1 with the eagle guy and spider dude. They knew each other. All three of them knew each other. You got her background, which was also tied with their background. And so, yeah, she died because you had the full background, but you had that background.
Yeah, I fully expected them to die. I'm not even joking. I fully expected them to just kick the bucket.
Exactly. So, all right. I think this is a good spot. What do you think, sir?
I agree. I think this is a very decent spot to finish up on.
All right. Scale of up to 10, sir. How would you rate this?
The fact the ending left me with more questions, and it really felt like, oh, we didn't even discuss the worst part about the ending.
Oh, we talked a little bit about it.
So the one thing I'd like to add before we do the rating, if you will.
Of course.
At the very, very end, the dude, the cockroach person holding the cell phone, it showed a hierarchy of genius cockroaches.
Yep.
I felt horror, just fear, because there's no way if one of those little dudes was giving him so much trouble. We just saw 13 of them. It looked like, and I realized this was probably on purpose, but it looked like Jesus and the Last Supper.
Yeah.
And there was a dude that could do electricity, and they were able to splice themselves, living, I'd imagine. They were able to have these operations done, and it seems like they were advancing far too quickly for our own good, for our main people we want to win.
Yeah.
So I realize they're trying to set up a very scary, oh God, this is, what are we going to do scenario, and then pull a miracle out of their butt. But yeah, that's where I'm going to stop that. So if you're good,
that's fair enough. Yeah. And I don't know. They definitely left it open, and there's a lot. Honestly, there's a lot more to it that's going on here. There's like some political betrayal, and you go into figuring out like the branch 4, which is the Chinese branch, betrays everyone, and then you also have the Roman and German branches that are trying to connect with each other and basically escalate themselves. And so it's like, even though they're supposed to be working together against this ultimate goal, everyone is still very much backstabbing each other or not fully trusting or anything else. There's a lot more that plays on the more drama side of it than anything else. Yeah,
when there was drama, it was heavy-handed. So it was very hard to miss.
Indeed. So, anyway, a scale of up to 10, sir.
A scale of up to 10, I would give it a solid 6. It would be a 7 if it had a better. If the ending if the ending credits didn't feel like you could have thrown a whole episode in it, it would have been a 7. But I'm giving it a 6.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to go with the 5 simply because it was a lot better than season 1. They left it open, but at least they closed some of the plot holes, and they also provided an actual story.
Okay, that's acceptable.
So next week is my choice.
It is. What do you fancy, sir?
I don't know. Let's see here. Let me go to the random wheel here and see what we got.
Random wheel of no, not that one. Nope, not that one either.
No, we're gonna go with Bloodsea, and it's 13 episodes long. Blood-C.
And where can I watch that on?
Hulu, Funimation, anywhere else you really want to try and get to.
It's a Funimation one. Okay.
Yep. It's 13 episodes. Action, horror, mystery, school, supernatural. And no, I have not seen it.
So it's Blood SEA or -C, letter C?
The letter C.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is I just looked up both.
Gotcha. All right. So thank you for checking us out. If you have seen this week's choice, last week's choice, any other choices, feel like we missed something, didn't do it justice or anything like that, you can reach out to us, Featured Anime Podcast at gmail.com, at Those Anime Guys on Twitter, Featured Anime Podcast on Facebook. Don't forget to, wherever you listen to us, subscribe, leave us a like, anything else, wherever you happen to listen to us. That includes on YouTube. You can also leave a comment there. If you feel like this show is worth $1 and you want to get a little bit of bonus content, please check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/featured anime podcast. very much would appreciate you all going there. We do have plans to grow and make this whole show better for you, and your help will make that a reality. And until next time, I'm Jack.
And I would like to point a message to our bug overlords. We shall resist, just like in this one. And I'm Rick, and we'll see you next time.